All right. Well, I think we're live. So we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, today to our signal strategy, Unleashing the Power of Microsoft Copilot. My name is Taylor Greiner. I am a cloud specialist at US Signal, joined by the very intelligent, very good at Microsoft, Ryan McDonald. And we're really excited to talk to you about Copilot today. Now, in the name of having fun with this, we have not prepared at all, and that may seem a little counterintuitive, but we want to show you the capabilities of Copilot, very raw and unedited. So we're going to pull up Copilot. We're going to talk to it. We're going to leverage Word. We're going to leverage Excel. Ryan's going to drive.
Yep.
And we'll get into some PowerPoint and some Exchange, but we're really just going to kind of see how this goes. So I've got the LinkedIn chat up in front of me. If you've got questions, please throw them in the chat, and we'll
Your wildest questions.
yeah
We want them.
we'll see how it goes.
Challenge us.
So we'll kind of cut over to Copilot and let it rip.
Here we go.
Awesome. All right. Hey, Copilot, we are live in front of an audience and we need to present on all the capabilities of M365 Copilot. We want to show Word, we want to show Excel, PowerPoint, Exchange, but we have no agenda. Can you come up with an agenda for us?
Definitely. Here's a quick agenda to highlight M365 Copilot. 1. Introduction. Brief overview of
All
M365
right, I'm going to
Copilot.
pause you real quick, Copilot. For the sake of time, give us like a quick bullet list with 3 to 4 words. Be very succinct.
Sure thing.
I know.
Intro to M365 Copilot. Word, AI writing assist. Excel, data analysis magic. Point, design and animation. Exchange, email enhancements.
Perfect. That's what we're going to go with, Ryan. I feel like we should probably get started with that agenda.
Oh, let's dive into it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Copilot.
You're welcome.
I don't know that I've ever actually talked to Copilot before, but that's a great start.
You always got to say thank you too.
Yeah.
You never know
when they're going to rise up and the AI will be in charge. Awesome. Well, if you've seen us do a Copilot demo before, we really like to have fun with it. And typically, we will start with putting ourselves in the shoes of a position, not one that we typically have. So we really like to do the HR strategy.
Yep. Have some fun with it.
Yep. And so with Word, we're going to pretend that we're in HR and we're going to implement a new dress code. I am a big Tommy Bahama fan. If you see me outside of work,
You're gonna be a dad, so
I am a dad, but I'm about to add to the
Alright,
family.
Yep.
So, we're going to implement a dress code for requiring everybody to wear Tommy Bahama um, just all the time. That's going to be the new US Signal attire.
See if I can spell Bahama right here. Let's make it fun.
This is the joy of doing this live. We did not have these things pre-recorded. So,
Let's just make it fun. Let's see what
all right.
gets us here.
As you can see here, Ryan opened up a prompt. He dropped in what he was looking for, and Copilot now is generating everything. So we've got kind of the full outline. It's covering, shirts that are required. It's encouraging people to wear Tommy Bahama. I would require people to wear Tommy Bahama, but we'll kind of take it for what it gives us. The big thing though is that it's a huge starting point. Ryan, I don't know how many times you're writing proposals, you're writing any kind of document related to your job, and sometimes getting started is
The hardest part.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially just having that. By no means is it going to be exactly perfect of what you needed that first go around, but to have a good rough draft, be able to work off of it. And the other piece to it here, if it maybe we told it to make fun, but you needed to make it a little bit more formal, you can still work with that same document as you're going along.
Yeah. So we'll see it kind of redraft. It's going to do the whole thing. If we wanted to rewrite a section of it, we could have it kind have it take that and maybe we just want it to rewrite the pants and shorts policy. We're a pretty casual, calm, fun company. We're just going to require shorts, even if it's February in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So,
Exactly.
awesome.
All right. So we'll go ahead. Think we're good with it?
I think we're good. I like our policy that we've put together. So I think now we need a way to present this out to our fellow coworkers, right? And if you're like me, you love PowerPoints. So we're going to generate a PowerPoint. Okay. So we've got Copilot. We've got a couple different ways that we can start with this. What kind of are those?
Yeah. So we can take that save file that we just took from that Word document. Um, Sometimes we'll run into this where maybe it not quite found that document. So that same prompt that we gave it before, we can say create the presentation about making our Tommy Bahama dress code policy. We're gonna have some fun here and see if we can make it from the file.
All right. So again, completely live. We don't have this thing saved already, so we'll see if we can find it. And we have the lean in,
Yep.
and I don't know that we're seeing it. So it hasn't indexed yet. This is not user error. This is just the time of latency. So
Actually, let's give it a shot.
is
No,
that
I don't think it's it.
okay?
Yep. Yep.
Well, better safe than sorry.
Yep.
Because once we also throw it into the model, who knows where it goes? So, actually, Microsoft has a lot of policy on that. We can send you the links.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
let's go ahead and take. Well, I would say, maybe for our prompt, hey, create a presentation based on, and then let's copy and paste over all of the Word doc content.
Okay.
So copying everything, bringing it over. All right, so we have uploaded everything that Copilot generated for us in Word. Let's see what it gives us in PowerPoint.
So it didn't like my prompt. So we'll try this again here. Create new presentation about. Add a
Okay,
little time here, so we'll see if we get any Tommy Bahama. Hey.
there it is.
Yep.
What do you know? We just had to
Yep.
wait and not be so impatient. All right, so we have, uh, look at that. It is generating the presentation. So we're going to let it go and then generate our slides.
The
All
fun
right.
part here is not only is it going to generate your slides, but we're also going to get those notes sections for when you're presenting it already. Again, is it going to be perfect of what you need? No, but it gives you that good rough start for now you can go back and edit it. As you've probably heard plenty of times folks talking with Copilot, how long would have this taken you from
Oh,
starting from just getting the ballpark going, the images, things like that?
hours, hours. Yeah. No, this is great. And look at, I wish, well, I guess I haven't seen all the photos to know if they've hit my Tommy Bahama desire, but it's definitely a start.
Yep, and kind of what I was alluding to there earlier. Pull it up here a little bit. You can see how it's giving you notes on each one of those sections, what to talk about. Getting a little Tommy Bahama there. Not quite, but
We're close. We're Tommy adjacent. So, Ryan, have you ever been to any of the an event where they do the random pitch deck competitions
yeah,
where they give you slides you've never seen them before?
yep.
I feel like this would be a good opportunity to do that. But I will say for the sake of time, I won't make you listen to me pitch my dress code for the next 30 minutes. But if we step through this, right, we've got really everything that it took in the Word document. It's plugged in here, it's added photos, it's expanded upon the content, and it really is a solid starting point to run with.
Yep. And as you'll even hear from Microsoft itself, Copilot is still, in a sense, in its infancy. I mean, 2 years ago, we weren't really even talking about this stuff. So as the image or as the code gets better, they keep improving. Obviously, we'll start seeing maybe some better photos there. But the nice part there is too, we can create a little repository from our own internal photos, things like that, to make sure to reference there. So
Yeah,
there are
no, this is great.
plenty of options.
So if we kind of click through this a little bit, right? It had the shirts section, the pants, dresses and skirts. We're hitting kind of all aspects. Um,
Yeah, got a little footwear
yeah,
there.
sandals only. But we can work with it, right? We're already ahead of schedule. So, I know that we're having fun with this here, right? We're creating something that's kind of satire, but honestly, the number of times that I've had to turn presentations around, whether to present to customers, whether to present internally, I know that this tool has saved me countless hours, well more than the $30 a month it costs to have this license. So,
It is hard though. I mean, I remember when it first came out, me and you both were like, "Whew, that $30 a month." But once you get in there and realize, wow, how many hours of just a week you can save, that return is going to be huge for
oh,
just the $30 a month.
absolutely. We're more than happy to talk about how we can help you acquire these licenses. You don't even need to be in our CSP, but we are talking to customers every day, helping out organizations really get started with this. We're happy to come in for an hour with your team, your leadership, whoever it may be, and do this um, kind of very similar presentation, but in more of a one-on-one setting where we can answer any questions you may have. Side note, if you do have questions, go ahead and throw them into the comments. We've got that up live in front of us, and we are happy to answer those.
We're Copilot nerds, so we're always trying to help
Ex-
folks, help us, help you, help us, sort of thing.
exactly. All right, so we're going to dive into kind of the next part of Copilot that I'm excited to showcase, and this is probably where there's the most risk of doing this live without ever having ran it through. One of the things that we want to provide are a set of tools, and Excel is a great way to do that. We're going to build a kind of a TCO calculator for purchasing Copilot and providing a tool that you can use for your leadership to justify purchasing this. So again, we have not done this. I think anytime you get into leveraging Copilot for anything outside of just general content creation, you don't always know what you're going to get, and so we're going to see what it wants to come back with. There may be some editing here. I think I'm kind of rambling to
And
protect it, but
and you hit a good point when it comes to that first prompt you're going to give it. There's going to be always that learning of, okay, this is how I asked it, but maybe changing up the wording of how you asked it, things like that. There's a ton of prompt engineering can look through, but those are the big things, making sure you're asking it the right thing. And it's kind of like making a wish to the genie. You got to really make sure you're
exactly. So let's see what it came back with. So our initial prompt was, build out this TCO and justify. And it looks like it came back with step by steps for us to do it ourselves, which is not quite what we're looking for. So let's see if we can't get the tool to generate into the actual worksheet. And let's see. So we said, can you create this for me in Excel? And Excel is telling us no, which is not the answer we want to get live on the webinar.
Yep.
However, this is the time to adapt. Uh, and while we work on this, comment asking, is this being recorded for passing along to coworkers? Absolutely. If you reach out directly by email, and I'll throw my email in the comments, more than happy to send over the recorded presentation after that gets all cleaned up and finalized.
Let's try one more.
Okay,
Create the first table, maybe.
and let's see what this comes back with.
Yep.
I wasn't able to create the table directly. Okay. So it's a little different than the normal demo that we give. I think we are starting to see the bounds of where Copilot in Excel has limits. I know we've shown demos, and maybe we kind of pivot to kind of showcase the capabilities because I do want to show those.
Yep.
if we already have the data or we're looking for Excel formulas, as you can kind of see if you scroll through the Copilot, um, that is, you know, really where it can excel, right? So, um, our demo that we've shown before, we've generated a bunch of fake sales data, and maybe let's ask Copilot, hey, can you generate, sales data for 4 different regions that I can use to test Copilot features with? Because I promise this is a cool tool. We've had it do some really cool things. Um,
Generates.
Graph generation is a big one, and it doesn't just generate images, it actually generates the graphs that you can interact with, update, and all of that. So let's see what Copilot comes back with us. Perfect. It's creating. All right. And is that going to allow us to copy and paste?
Yeah, usually it'll list out here and then usually here we go. Insert to new sheet.
Okay. So now we're starting to see some of the features and functionality that Excel provides.
We really wanted to challenge it with that calculator.
Yeah, but I think we should kind of make it. Can you zoom in? Let's see, just to make sure everyone's seeing this. So, okay, so we've got some data here. You can see we've got a couple different regions, northeast, southwest. We've got sales numbers for different months. Let's start to talk to our data, right? Um, what region, over the first quarter had the best results? And because Ryan and I live in the Midwest, it's probably gonna be the Midwest, but
Yep.
it's not an option. So I guess the other regions are safe. So you can see now it's analyzing the table, right? And it's looking over all of that information and starting to do calculations. And you can see that it came back and let's see, does it going to add? Can we get it to add?
Yep. We got
Perfect. Okay. So, we created a new worksheet. You can see that it went through, it did calculations, and it generated that the West had the most sales with that $47,300 number. So, this is where I think you can really start to uh, speed up the time to understand your data.
my especially myself. My dad's a CPA and he's the Excel whiz, but didn't really pass it along the best. So when it comes to figuring out those formulas on the fly rather than getting into Google and trying to read and understand some of this, just to be able to ask it that natural question of how can I summarize this data? How can I make that formula? It's been huge.
Yeah, no, it's a great tool. And I think as I talk to organizations that are looking at implementing this, the word features are great. The PowerPoint features are great. But I mean, let's be real, right? The world lives in Excel. Whether you're manufacturing, finance, pick an industry, right? And it is driven by Excel. So being able to talk to those files, get that data.
Well, I mean, how many times do you have that Excel file, but it's well, I need to make this look readable. How do I get a report for something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, let's see if we can get some pivot tables or something here.
Yeah, I'd also like to see it generate a graph of all the sales data. Our leaders really like to see pictures, and that the pictures tell 1,000 words. So, or whatever the saying is.
You're right. We're challenging it. We'll see.
All right. Okay. So,
Yeah, let's see. I know it. So that's part of it. Sometimes you'll see where it's going to give you those instructions of how to do it, which is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Obviously, we'd love for it to just do that here, but let's see. That gives us, and that's the nice part here too. Sometimes it's going to give you actual suggested prompts. So I'm going to see, can you show a pivot table setup?
let's see what it comes back with.
Yep.
Okay. Not quite what we were looking for, but I think something that we've done in the past, instead of going from trying to create the pivot table, let's go back to that first worksheet with the data and ask it to create a graph of all of the information. and let's see what this one comes back with. If this one doesn't come back with something, then Microsoft made changes because this is one that we do all the time.
Yep.
Okay, this one's not going to let me down.
It
Hopefully,
wants this. It wants to.
okay. So created a pivot chart based on our sales data. Let's add that to the sheet. All right, perfect. You can see there it made that table, it made the graph, and I think the thing that I really enjoy about this tool is a lot of other AI tools that I've worked with. When I plug in the information and it generates a graph, it creates an image file, right? If I want to mess around with that data or change the graph at all, it requires me to go in, regenerate, and hope that it gets it right. With this tool, we've plugged the data in. I mean, you can see right there if we go update one of the number, January, we just recalculated, and what do you know, or February, and now it's 20,000. And it's not going to let me change that there. We'd have to go and regenerate. The joys of doing it live.
Let me see.
All right.
Maybe this one.
This is where you can see Ryan's Excel skills that his dad didn't pass on. So, no, I'm not going to claim to be an Excel expert either, even though I am a Microsoft specialist outside of Excel. Let's talk Azure. Let's talk other features of M365. So,
Just see.
okay. Can you update the data? Perfect.
Or actually,
Okay.
yeah.
So, all right, it's not wanting to be super friendly. But again, I think this is more on user error than it is necessarily on Copilot. So we come through, we update the data, we now go through. That has not wanted to pass on,
No.
but that's okay,
No.
So any other things that you find you use Excel for? I think with the original intention of wanting to build out that total cost of ownership calculator, we're going to build that out, and when we'll make it available, I'll post in the LinkedIn page a link to that. I think we'll make it live on the US Signal website, but I know this is something that is, again, at the surface, it appears kind of more expensive than maybe it actually is, right?
Especially when it comes down to analyzing the data. I mean, always trying to tell folks, challenge it, really give it as much data as you can, and see what it can come back with. I know today we weren't as lucky, but it's still there's a lot you can do with it.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I think Microsoft Build is actively going on currently, and if you follow that, or you follow really anything out of Microsoft in the last 2-ish, 3-ish years, it's all AI, right? So this stuff is constantly changing, constantly growing. The features, the capabilities are always being added to, and so we're really excited to continue to see this evolve, and watch what this tool is going to continue to grow into. Okay, so it
Hey,
did.
I was just about to ask somebody out there. I bet there's a button I need to press. So yeah, a
Oh,
little
there is a
refresh
button.
there.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I think we've completely been justified
Yeah,
now, with the refresh button. We probably could have asked Copilot.
you know, that's
That's
look at us
that's
making fools of
Yeah,
ourselves there.
and that's okay.
Yep.
So again, you can see now, if you've stuck with us through that, that the data is something that you can go in and change. You just have to click the refresh button, and then you're able to see those graphs update in real time. It was very, very powerful. So
The fun part here too, I know we won't get too much into the weeds on this aspect of things, but where Copilot is really growing is things like call them Copilot agents, and where we can connect and make autonomous aspects of those spreadsheets and maybe having that central place where you're updating the data, but going out and updating other spreadsheets and things like that. There's a world of other things that we can dive into, but that's something that we've been pretty excited about. And
And I think that's actually the next one of these that we're doing,
yep,
right? So when we sat down and we said, what do we want to show when we start talking about Microsoft Copilot? Uh, there's well, in fact, the last number that I saw out of Microsoft is that there are roughly 90 uh, Copilot named products in their ecosystem. So we got to be very clear about what Copilot we're talking about, right? But we started looking and saying, hey, what do we want to show in this live stream? We've got, roughly, 40 minutes to an hour
I
that
think our first list was a
was
little too
was long,
big.
and I've been told that I like to talk and talk about a lot of topics all at once, and so we refined, right? And I think the one that everyone really kind of thinks of when they think Copilot is the M365 Copilot.
Yep, I think that's what most people are familiar with or interested in at the moment.
Yeah, and so that's really what we wanted to show. In our next one, hopefully in kind of mid to late June. For those that don't know, my wife is due within days, so
Could happen
it
right
could if I have to bolt. Probably not. But we're gonna, after I come back from that, we're gonna sit down, and I think the next one that we're gonna do is more on the Copilot Studio. We're gonna look at really diving into building agents. I saw Microsoft made some cool announcements around kind of multi-agent workflows. We'll see how fast those get released and under what licensing terms. Always a fun one with Microsoft,
Yep,
but uh,
that's what we're here for,
that's
to
what
help
we're
you
here
walk
for,
through those
right?
licensing
Exactly.
challenges.
So we'll dive into more of that custom agent style deployment after the next one of these. I think really kind of the M365 world that we've been diving into. We've covered Word, we've covered PowerPoint, we've covered Excel.
Exchange.
I think we need to cover Exchange.
Yep.
Okay.
Good old one, good Outlook.
Okay. So I may have fibbed a little. We prepped one thing instead of showing you Ryan's actual inbox, because I probably would have gotten in trouble for that one.
More me than you.
Well, I put you up to it. Uh, we've put together an email on kind of that HR dress code policy. I think Copilot did generate the original email, but we're going to use this to kind of walk through some of the features that Exchange provides within the platform.
So within Outlook, you'll have your little Copilot toolbar here, and we have three different options here. We can summarize the email because Taylor writes really long emails, and I just need the
Write like a talk.
need the bullet points there. So as you can see, a little bit smaller here, kind of gets more to the point. Also, with that, I can reply with Copilot back to Taylor. So maybe what are some concerns you have with this?
I think the thing that's going to be fun about this, as I sit here and watch you Copilot respond to an email that I Copilot wrote, is going to be all of the Copilot interactions that happen, as we kind of sit behind the screen. Um, as long as it doesn't auto reply without my permission, I think we'll be okay. And Copilot is not enjoying Ryan's exchange capabilities.
Try
So,
this again.
okay. May have just needed to refresh.
Respond back with some typical concerns of this email. Actually, let's leave the L out. See how it
Okay.
recognizes it.
So we're creating some spelling errors just to see how it handles.
It should. I've
All right.
seen it do pretty well there.
So it
but-
writes, well, I write like I talk, and I apparently, can't spell either. So let's see what this one comes back with. Okay. So
Tried keeping it, but it didn't do anything.
that's because it had zero concerns.
We'll give it one more try here. One last shot. There we go.
All right, so we can see it writing.
I like the color.
Yeah, they do a great job with that. I'm gonna be honest, Ryan. If you respond to me with this, I might Copilot summarize it. So what if we need to make it shorter?
So we can definitely make it shorter. It gives you a nice little option there. So it's going to do that. Still probably a longer email than I'd write, but
Yeah, that's okay. It's pretty formal. Can we make it less formal? I'm not a super formal person.
yeah, let's give it a little
A little more
casual.
casual. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think the one that's always fun, I think it's somebody at Microsoft wanted to just put in a little joke there. So if you're trying to have fun with your coworkers, there's an option. You can make it a poem.
Well, I am a man of the arts. So, okay. I
But even does it in a little nice paragraph form.
do you think we could plug it into Copilot and have it read it back to us?
Ooh, there you go.
I think we have the minutes left to get this thing read. The free version of Copilot has a limit on how much oh, here we go.
Good to
If I write you something, can you? We'll just talk to her.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I've got a little poem that I want you to read back to me. How can I get that to you?
Sure, you can just read it to me and I'll repeat it back to you.
No.
Ready when you
Can I write? Can I write it to you?
go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
This one might not work.
We were like we said, we were gonna try to have some fun with it, and she failed us, but we'll get
Yeah,
back to her.
no, and that's all right. Okay. So, we've got our emails. We've written it in the style of a poem. Just one of the kind of the key features of Exchange.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. I think the big thing that I really enjoy with Exchange and the Copilot features, my inbox really kind of piles up, right? I want it to, kind of tell me what I need to do for the day, what's important, things like that. And so, features like that, all very exciting within the Exchange platform.
Yep. One little caveat there for unfortunately for our Mac users, they quite haven't released that piece where it can summarize your top emails, things like that. They have it available in the new Outlook for Windows, but
Yep.
us Mac users still got to wait here a little bit.
Yeah, that's I guess the pros and cons of bouncing back and forth. I've got my Windows machine and I've got my
Yep.
Mac machine, so
Yep.
that's all right. But I think as we sit here and we really look, one of the big things, and I don't know that we're quite prepared to show this feature,
Teams.
Teams,
Yep.
right? Teams is something that, as we talk to people, I think more than anything at the top of the list,
For sure.
right?
Yep. Yep. Especially when it comes to those meetings that you're having there. I myself sometimes try to be the best with taking notes, but for that Teams with Copilot for M365, open up a meeting channel, start the transcript. When that meeting's over, it's going to give you more notes than you could have possibly ever taken in that half hour to an hour. Also, can tie in and have follow up tasks. Um, Things that excite me and him. Back to a little bit of the Copilot agents, we can add one more autonomous step to that where those follow-up tasks can be fed into your CRM system, things like that, making the approvals, denials,
Yeah.
keeps everybody on task.
If you haven't explored, I think the connector marketplace out of the Power Platform is really where they're kind of leveraging and creating a lot of the connections into third parties.
It's going so fast.
Yeah,
And if it's a big provider right now, Adobe, Salesforce, those things, everybody has their pre-built connectors, but Microsoft is begging, pleading. challenge you if you've got some third-party system out there that you think is Windows 95-esque. That's for me and Taylor to come help you find out if it can talk with Copilot.
Yep. Yeah, we've got all kinds of capabilities, right? If we need to put a REST API in front of it, if we need to, talk to a SQL database, right? There are all kinds of options. So that's what we're here for. To Ryan's point, uh, very excited as we talk to customers. We find new use cases that people are looking to implement AI for every day. And Microsoft is really at kind of the center of that ecosystem. They're making crazy investments. They're innovating and evolving every day, and we just are really excited to work and be kind of a part of that with a lot of our customers.
The I know there's always those concerns out there. People talk to us day in, day out about, is AI gonna take over work, our workforce? The big thing I really try to help people focus on is, it's, again, maybe I'll be proven wrong, but AI isn't gonna replace people. People who use AI are gonna replace those people who don't use AI.
Yep.
And not as black and white, but really just trying to get folks to, how can I use this day in and day out? Um, Even when it comes to adopting it, we really have found where we're not telling everybody to, okay, every one of your users needs to go out and get Copilot for M365.
No, that's kind of a great thing that we should probably hit on, right? Like, what does it look like when a company wants to start adopting Copilot? Hey, $30. I think we've shown you can easily justify that per person. If we look at implementing that in our organization, what are companies doing to get started? Are they buying it for everybody?
No, no. Really, what we see is you start with about 5 or 10. My recommendation is 10, and don't throw those all into one department. Really build you can call it a fun team name, but that AI team, throw one or two per department, and really focus on either weekly, bi-weekly, of how is your department using AI, and really challenging that force. And that is really where it takes the next step. Okay, now we can order 10 more, and we've seen where this can help grow, and back to our calculator, get you that
There we
total
go.
cost ownership.
We kind of made a joke. We alluded to it earlier, right? What about my data, right? I am trusting Microsoft, which we already do, right? Hosting all of our email, our organizational data. But I hear a lot about these AI models and how my data gets trained. It trains on my data, all of that, right? What is Microsoft doing to kind of keep that governance in place to make sure that you as an organization uh, can leverage this AI, leverage these tools, but you're not at risk of your data being leaked out and exposed to everybody.
So 2 points there. One, Microsoft has all their privacy policies, things out there where once your data goes out, they are not everything your data is stating within the tenant itself. A prompt's going out, it could it'll scrape out those parts that are just your organizational data. So there's zero training going on any of Microsoft's backend models. Um, and the second point to that would be, how are we securing it internally, with Microsoft's data protection policies, things like that. We want to be alerted when I am on Copilot and I go ask what Taylor's making, something along those lines, or anything.
Could be more, but
Yeah, anything confidential that a user is trying to access to. And the big thing to note there is, sometimes when we see people first adopting Copilot, is let's actually go through and do a security review.
yep.
There's those points where end user we don't realize actually has access to that. Copilot doesn't know that he's not, as long as he has access to that file, it's going to use that to pull anything that it can help find.
Yeah, that's where it's really important that we have a very strong governance policy in place around like our Entra ID, Active Directory. You know, we want to make sure as long as our data is locked down, as long as our data is good data, I guess is probably just the most
Yep.
plain way to say that,
Yep.
right? Then we're really going to see kind of the benefits of this technology.
And you bring up a good point, that with making sure we've got good data, bad data in, bad data out.
Yep,
That's, you'll hear that phrase a ton when people talking AI.
absolutely. No, I sit and I think through again, what does it look like for an organization to get started with this? If you're kind of on the fence, right? Absolutely. I posted my email in the chat. talk to your account executive, any of the team members at US Signal that you work with. More than happy, they will all set up a call with Ryan and myself. We will walk through our demo with anybody within your organization. We really just want to kind of spread the word on these tools, their capabilities, because we really do believe that they're going to make your organization more efficient at a very reasonable price
Yes.
point, I would say.
Yep. And one point back to the security pieces with those data protection pieces in play, as long as we have the Microsoft E3 Business Premium, those pieces are already going to come included for you.
Yeah, yep, and evaluating all of the features and functionality of your license is probably a whole nother talk in and of itself.
Yep.
So we won't necessarily dive into that here, but also another conversation we're more than happy to have. Are you getting everything out of your licensing? Are you over licensed? Again, we're here to provide support around the entire Microsoft ecosystem, not necessarily just Copilot.
Microsoft licensing takes almost a degree to
Yeah,
get through, so
yeah,
leave it
no,
to us to help you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we've kind of shown the M365 Copilot features. We've talked about Word, we've talked about PowerPoint, we've talked Excel, we've talked Exchange. We high level covered Teams, and again, I know that that's probably a major one that people are interested in. Kind of hard to demo that without
Well,
completely exposing.
I got an idea.
Okay.
I'll take the transcript from this,
Okay. Yeah.
bust it in there, and we'll send out what that review would look like and follow-up tasks and things like
Yeah.
that.
No, I think that's a great idea. We'll make a just kind of a folder available. It'll have the TCO calculator.
Yeah.
It will have the transcript outputs, and just go play around with it. And if you have any questions, again, more than happy to answer any of those. Feel free to reach out.
You got any other fun questions?
No,
No.
questions have been pretty light. If you have any, definitely go ahead and throw them in the chat now. We'll just kind of give it a minute or so. Anything at all, we're happy to answer.
Yep. Yep.
So Ryan drove over from Omaha for this. So for those that don't know, we're actually located in Des Moines right now. We've got gracious hosts in an organization called Anthologic, and I always get that confused with Anthropic right now. You guys have a very similar name, AI company, if you don't know. But no, Anthologic's great host. We really appreciate all their help setting this up. So
Yeah.
um, if I look at the chat, I don't see any questions. So we will probably go ahead and wrap this up. As I said, we're going to be looking to do our next one of these in mid to late June. We'll get a date firm, kind of finalized. That one's going to be Copilot Studio, where we will actually pull up and create custom agents. So we've got some work to do to get that one ready, which is always, always fun.
Oh yeah. Nope. And
We're
you got the baby coming. So.
and we've got baby coming. So my wife would probably be upset if I didn't spend some time with my family. So we'll get that on the list. I think if you have any topics that you want us to cover that you think would be great to do in this format, please reach out. Let us know that as well.
To what you alluded to earlier, you'll see plenty of Copilots out there. I know
Yep.
we've really just touched Copilot for M365, but if you've got questions, Copilot for security, Copilot for Power BI, anything
Yep.
like that, we
We're-
can get something set up for you.
Absolutely. With that, we'll probably go ahead and wrap up. Again, my name's Taylor Greiner. I'm here with Ryan McDonald, and we appreciate you spending the time with us. Thank you so much.
Take care.